Been up since 3 a.m. ish. Yo, my cousin, she's a little bit of an insomniac, y'all. What's good, everybody? Welcome to another episode, another show of Morning Motivation. I am your host, Jamon, and I am in full recovery mode. Oh man, in full recovery mode. Yeah, it be like that sometimes, yo. It's like that sometimes. And you never control when it happens. Just randomly, you hit this pocket of space where your body just don't want to shut down. Toronto Riggins, good morning. What up, Monique? And so, yo, I don't think I'm the only one who's in full recovery. Wifey, I went in and woke her up because she wanted to go to work early this morning. Yeah, where she at? She's still in the bed. I'm not the only one that's in recovery mode this morning. Man, look, shout out to everybody for all the birthday wishes, all the D-Rob, the Henny shots. Shout out to everybody that came through and celebrated with your boy. Shout out, I appreciate it. Got a chance yesterday to get a lot of things done. Saw a few people hadn't seen in a while. And I got a breakfast date with my son this morning. He's gonna take me to grab some breakfast. For those of you who don't know, breakfast is my favorite meal. I don't always get it, but it's my favorite meal. So if you ever want to get your boy a gift, give me some kind of gift card to some kind of really good breakfast establishment. Really good breakfast. I love breakfast. Man. Oh no. It's one of those childhood memories that it just make you feel like family, makes it feel like everything's all right. That's breakfast for me. That's like my comfort space. It's my happy place. But yeah, man, it's been a good week so far, and there's still more things to happen, more things to get through. And I think yesterday we got off to a good start with the show, man, talking about whose ego is bigger. And I think, by the end of the day, I proved whose ego was bigger. I made my case. It was laid out. And I think the majority of people understood the assignment. And one thing that I didn't really touch on a lot was the word submission. I did talk about, to guys, submission isn't an ugly word because guys share power. We know there can't be two CEOs of a company. We know there can't be two presidents of a country. We know there can't be two kings in a kingdom. So we know we have to share power from time to time. As long as that person is capable, most guys, we ain't tripping. And if, the laws ain't fair, yeah, we'll go find something else to do. We'll go somewhere else. That's generally how it works. Oh, sleepyhead. Health Talk. What's up, bruh? Good to have you in the building today, man. So I think yesterday we got off to a good start because we've been systematically going down this little trail of relationships and communication and how we get along. And I believe that we're in a good space to really talk about that interpersonal dynamic, the interpersonal conflict. So, ladies, today I'm going to ask you a bunch of questions because the fellas are confused. The fellas are really confused. So, fellas, bear with me for a few minutes today. I'm going to kind of paint the picture real quick. You know, once upon a time, it was, life was simple. The world wasn't as small as it is now. You didn't have social media, you didn't have the internets, you didn't even have major cities. Life was to a point where there were small communities scattered across countrysides. And it was easy to determine what the pecking order would be. If you were the biggest and the strongest guy, you look for the strongest and most fertile woman to carry on your legacy. If you were the most beautiful or strongest woman, you look for the most strongest or handsome guy, the best provider, to be the father to your child, to carry on that legacy. It was easy. And then everybody fell in place behind that, in that way. Yeah, boo, slow start. I got it. But it was easy to kind of know what your place was, what your where you ranked in the pecking order. If you were a man, it was easy to figure it out. And if there was something to be done, you know that as a man, I must provide for this family, this lady, these children that we're creating, this family that we've designed. It's my job as the man to provide for it. So I'm going to get with the other men in the community, and or at least one or two, and we're going to build a house for my family. I'm going to help build a house for their families, and we're going to share resources. We're going to share manpower to provide for our families. And this is what communities did. The men went out, they hunted food. Ladies stayed home and they created gardens, and they built community. And then when the men would bring the food home, sometimes they would be gone for days at a time because, the prey don't always want to be caught. So they'll be gone for days at a time. Sometimes they come back badly wounded because the prey fought back. Sometimes they come back tired, exhausted, and they were dragging these carcasses back. And the ladies would go in, and because they would strip them and clean them and get all the bad bits away. So all the ladies had to do was take it, just cut it up and figure out what to eat, what to preserve, and how to do all of that good stuff. And so roles, because of survival, were defined more just by necessity. The natural order of things, just literally, it was a thing. If there was a rustling in the bushes, this guy knew his job was to be the police force. If there was a fire in the community, all the men knew it was their job to be the firemen. If there was intruders coming along to pillage and to take, he knew there was their job to be the military. Women knew their job was to raise or nurture the children, to be a support for their infrastructure, which was their husband, their provider. And there was a harmonious balance for a time. And then I think it was World War II. World War II was the biggest catalyst because the majority of able-bodied men were sent off to war. And when all the men go to war, how does the war machine work? And so women went into the workforce in droves. They were building the bombs. They were building the bullets. They were building the tanks, their clothing, everything that would keep the war machine going. At the same time, the women's suffrage movement was going on. And there was a conversation about equality. and women were tired of being treated like second-class citizens. Well, this was technically white women mostly, because black women were already relegated to that status. But this was mostly white women. They were having these arguments, and they was trying to champion these movements. And then the war ends. The men come back home. This is history, y'all. This is history. All this is verifiable. The men came back home, but the women said, "No, we not. We like this work thing. We're not going back." And so that was a few years, because this also was right after the Depression, the Great Depression. And after the Great Depression, the country was left it was depleted. The money wasn't worth anything. There was no trust in government, the paper. And so all these New Deal policies came out. I think it was Eisenhower's New Deal. And they put all these reforms in these key areas to stimulate the economy, to make home ownership. Now, all these, I say again, were not predominantly. They were not for black folk. They were for the majority in this country. Home ownership, education. I mean, veterans would come back from the war. They couldn't even use their GI Bill because they couldn't get into the majority schools. I couldn't get into Carolina or Duke or NC State. I had to go to Central or A&T. But the only problem was that HBCUs never excluded anybody. So it was hard to even get into the HBCUs because a lot of the majority were going to HBCUs as well because of, it was a good education you were getting. So it was hard to really get in there and compete. So most of, our grandfathers, they went back into the sharecropping space. They went back into the cooking space. Most black women never really left the home. They stayed in the communities. They still build the foundations of the family and supported their men as they went out into the world because it was dangerous for black men during that time. But it was even more dangerous for black women. And so the civil rights era happened. And during this era, there were some movements that co-opted the civil rights movement because it was just a perfect fit. There was the perfect spokesman. He believed in nonviolence. Talking about Dr. King. He believed in nonviolence. He believed in equality. And every other organization that had a piece that could go into this equality pattern or mode, they jumped on it and they co-opted it. And they helped make it actually successful and more successful than it would have been. Because once you crack that door open and that water starts trickling in, it's hard to stop those floodgates. And that's what we found out during the civil rights era. It was so many people championing for their cause. And the right for blacks to be out of Jim Crow and into equal citizenship was a calling card for so many other groups. And so now, today, we find ourselves in a very precarious space, not so much, even in my generation, I'm a Gen Xer, and even in my generation, I think my generation was the first group that started to go away from each other. For years, for centuries in this country, and actually still around the world, you partner up with your group for survival. And it was my generation, the Gen Xers, who started to go differently, start to divide from one another. And I noticed it early on because I grew up during the 80s. I was able to understand what was happening in the 80s in real time. I remember being in the park in New Jersey and watching people getting high behind a tree in the park and passing out. I remember seeing moms going to grab their husbands out of the park, out of the alleyway that done almost OD'd or just had a little too much. They're trying to drag them back home. I've seen well-to-do families. Father was a tax accountant or a tax attorney making really good money and just slowly watching his dive into crack and how it tore apart, his family. and then them trying to rebuild the family for 10 years after the fact. I'm keenly aware of walking through all my friends' homes and there are no dads in the homes because they were either locked up from being in prisons, they were locked up from gangs, they were locked up from drugs, or they were just deadbeats. I've seen all of this, and I noticed my era, my generation. If you were born in the 70s, if you were born in the early 80s, there was an exodus and a change in the cultural shift to the point now that it's hard for us in a lot of ways to come back together because a lot of moms had to play as best role as mom and dad as possible. A lot of moms had to take on a lot of the responsibilities of raising the next generation of men and women. But also a lot of generation of fathers came up teaching their daughters not to depend on anybody, not to need a man, to go out and work but don't need nobody. Be independent. And we've taught our children to be independent versus being self-sufficient. And I have made that mistake. I caught myself on several occasions telling my daughters that I don't want them to have to depend on anybody, which is a great sentiment. But what I've taught them, or what me and their moms have taught them, is independence is best, when that couldn't be further from the truth. And I know if I'm guilty of it, I know a lot of other people are guilty of it as well, because I know I'm not an anomaly. I'm no different than anybody else. We all have the same hopes, dreams, desires for ourselves, for our families, for our children. We want them to be successful. We want them to have the best opportunity to live the life that they want to live. But sometimes, as parents, we put our disappointments, our hurts, our biases onto our children. Sometimes for good reasons. But they don't always accept them because it's not their story. They can't relate. They have a much better life than you ever had, but they're hurt and they're scarred and they're traumatized in ways you can't even fully understand because what happened to you didn't happen to them. So today, I know that was a little bit of a history lesson. So today we find ourselves in a position now that, especially in the Black community, we're at war with one another. Our music culture is at war with one another. And what happens in hip hop now is influencing the world. And so what we're starting to see, or what I'm really starting to really notice, is that the issues that we were having in Black America is now leaking out to other groups, other races. The problem with that is that we've lost our foundation. They haven't lost their foundation because they've always had a strong one. And I'm talking about whatever community you want to talk about. Most other communities, nobody has been was enslaved as long and stripped from their past and their identity like we were. And because of that, our foundation is really shaky. We stayed together longer. Most Black men wasn't super oppressive to Black women. Now I say super oppressive just because some of the movies would suggest differently. But you know, Big Mom, but Grandma, Granddad and Grandma, they had to stay together to survive. They had to figure out a way to work together because it was necessary. And I've grown up with some strong women. And my grandmother, she was known for putting her hands on some people. She was known for putting her hands on some men and some women. It's probably where I get it from. Yeah, I don't have no problem letting these paws fly. I probably got it from her. But I find it a tough proposition to even imagine my grandfather, anybody really dominating this woman, because she was just a strong woman. her mom was strong too. And so I know there are some truths to some of these movies because there are somebody's stories. But I want to revisit something real quick. And I want to ask some questions to the ladies. Y'all saw the title for today's show. What do you want from me? It is a question that a lot of guys are asking today because men don't know what to really even be on whole. Now, if you are past a certain age, you know what you are. You know what you can do. You know what you can provide. But if you're still out in these streets and you're searching for family and or whatever legacy that you want to leave behind, as a guy, you're struggling right now. You don't know because women don't really need men to be providers and protectors anymore because you can go get the bag for yourself now. You can go, if there's an emergency, you can call 911. If there's a fire, you need some heat, you just cut the thermostat up. We know all these things. The things that traditionally gave men their value is no longer in demand. It's easily accessible by anybody now. Because the world, technology and the world is so civilized and has so advanced now that the traditional roles that men did are no longer valued as they once were. So the question is, ladies, what do you want from a man? Not even what you need right now. What do you want from a man? From your partner, from your potential partners, your potential suitors. If I am a man that's 35 years old, I don't have any children, I've never been married, and I'm dating, what 3 things should I bring to the table for you to take me serious? What 3 things, ladies, does a man need to bring to the table to be considered seriously? Are there 3 things? Do you know? Is that too hard of a question first thing in the morning? While you're thinking about it, I'm going to continue. Many times in this culture that we live in, this American culture, this hip hop culture, I'm not sure if men understand exactly what it means to be a man, or even women understand what it means to be women. We live in a time where you can decide what gender you want to be, and it's expected that everybody accepts that. I remember growing up with my cousins, man, and it'll be maybe 4 or 5 of us boy cousins, and I'll have one girl cousin, and she was determined that whatever we did, she was going to be right there with us. And it was cool most of the time. But the only problem that we kept running into is when we would get like really rough, or we doing really dangerous stuff, we had to always stop to go back and get her, or we had to talk her up or encourage her because it just really wasn't in her to do some of the things that we were doing. It wasn't her natural gift. Bobby S says security, love, responsibility. Toronto Regan says consistency, leadership, provider, and a protector. Vision. Oh, she gave out 6. No, 5. Yeah. With some strong emojis. Monique says trust, honesty. So, Monique said honesty. Most of men don't want honesty. That's different, Monique. I like that. Trust, honesty, support, understanding, affection, commitment. Have your own goals, your own mind, your own bank account, security, love, accountability. Oh, man, these lists are getting longer and longer. Okay, I see it. But this is why we're asking the question. Because guys, I know y'all think guys are complicated, but we are really simple. We really are. And I think the problem is we're so simple that it seems hard because it requires you to really nail down what it is that you want. I have a flaw, and my flaw is I am not the most, I see a lot of things. I'm very observant, but I don't always recognize when I need to assist. I'm not the, I know that's a lot, right, D-Rob? That chick yo says communication, a good work ethic, and a vision, security, loyalty. Communication, a good work ethic with a vision, security, and loyalty. I got you. Okay, yeah, I got it now. And so, and Monique actually, she put honesty in there, which most times, and I've asked this question to a lot of different groups, but very few women ever say honesty. Most women will say loyalty, but they never really want honesty. I want you to be loyal, but I want you to be honest because honesty comes with a lot of stuff. Honesty comes with a lot of accountability. Monique said, we're just trying to help y'all out. And so I got you, D-Rob. I got you. And so, ladies, guys, we are very simple. And so when you say, remember, we know y'all use about, on average, 20,000 words a day when we on average use about 10,000 words a day. So we don't talk as much. Y'all talk way more. And so men, because we are naturally, our first go-to is solving the problem, fixing the situation. When you say, let me, what's the first one I see? When you say communication, when you say trust, what does trust mean for you? So that comes with communication too, though. Yeah, it does. And so a very general request or a very general statement to a guy means a lot. So most guys will say, tell me exactly what you want me to do in this moment. I don't know. I just want you to fix it. Okay. Does that mean you want me to hug you? Does that mean you want me to buy you some food? Does that mean you want me to go buy a gift? Does that mean you want me to sit here and be quiet? We want to fix the problem. So for a guy, there are steps to solve any problem. Only a few steps most of the time. But if we got a list that's really expansive, it's going to take us forever to get through that list. And then the more questions we ask, what I normally hear is, why don't you know this? I don't. I don't know. I'm asking. I'm trying to learn. Can you just, can you give me a little bit more? Can you give me another hint into what you actually mean? I get you want trust, but so you don't want me to lie to you? I mean, what is it? What exactly do you not want me to do, or do you want me to do? And so guys don't know because, remind you, there is a huge gap in how men relate and what men are role model for them. Sometimes some guys have really good role models, but most don't. Some ladies have really good role models, but most don't. So there's this gap. And so what worked in my last relationship probably not going to work in this relationship. So I got to learn a whole new skill, a whole new person. Because from lady to lady, there's different challenges for me as a man. Now, I've been in a couple of different relationships, and my list really hadn't changed. I just need some breakfast. I need some good loving and some respect. I'm Gucci. That's all I need. Oh, because I have trust issues? Just don't lie to me. But those really are my 4 requirements for any relationship that I've ever been in. It doesn't get any more complicated than that, and that's pretty much what I want. And most guys, we are that simple. Now, that may not sound simple on first examination, so we're asking. Um, Monique says, knowing that you will always have my back, can I count on you even on my bad days? Can I count on you not to take it personal when we have disagreements? Okay, I like that. I can't stand the liar. Big turnoff. I like it. Okay. That's some good feedback. That's some good feedback. All right. So knowing that you will always have my back, that's what trust looks like for Monique. Can I count on you even on my bad days? Can I count on you not to take it personal when we have disagreements? Out of that whole statement or that whole ask, that's the only part that could be the challenge for guys. Because ladies, y'all know y'all tongue is super sharp sometimes. And y'all go to push buttons, and sometimes y'all do want a reaction from us. And sometimes y'all will slice to get that reaction because most times, it's whatever. I hear you, yep, but you ain't moving. You ain't did nothing. I'm gonna get into it. And so here come that samurai sword. And it lands personally. It lands personally. And depending on how emotionally intelligent this guy is, it's a process of him actually learning to not take it personal. She gets on her feelings right now. She'll be all right. She'll be all right. But that takes a while to get to. But very possible. Very possible. D-Rob says, food, respect, and ears because I listen. Yeah, see, we are pretty simple. We don't have a whole lot of asks. We don't have a whole lot of demands. Monique says, I'm guilty of the sword. You're not by yourself, Monique. I've been cut up quite a few times in a lot of different ways throughout my whole life. And it makes it, and sometimes it's challenging for guys because we couldn't do one thing in our last relationship, but in the next relationship is expected. And sometimes as guys, we change to be with a person that we think is the one, and then that ends. And then we go through a series of, whatever relationships that come next. And then we find the next one, and we've now changed some things inside of us just so we could survive those previous relationships. And now the thing that we buried, forgot how to use, is now needed in the new relationship. And now your relationship is sitting at 80%, and the 20% that you're messing up is something you used to be good at. Toronto says, I will walk away. I don't like arguments because I don't know how. So I will walk away and let you argue by yourself. She said, I don't know how to argue. That means you thought you nice with them paws too? It means you throw them paws? D-Rob says, really though, big thing for me is support. I want my women in the stands with a Coach D-Rob shirt, and she loves to attend church with me. Yeah, man, that's not a big ask. For most people. That's not a big ask. And most women on face value would see that and be like, oh man, that's easy. I could do that. I can do that. But it always seems easy. And so every man, ladies, listen closely. Every man, this is why when a man says, I want to take you out, I want to get to know you. I want to understand you because I know you probably are different, and I just want to know how you're different. So we go out and we do the dating thing, and it turns into a little bit of a romance most of the time. And your feelings are now getting involved, and you feel like this guy's paying attention. He's attentive. He's trying to understand me. Because if he wasn't, then you wouldn't keep going out with him. You wouldn't keep entertaining him. But you see, this is a guy who was trying. Because it's new, that new relationship energy. Because it's new, man, feels good. You learning somebody. All the possibilities are there. But then the work kicks in. And now he's realizing, or you're realizing, that, and this happened. I've been actually told this before. You realize this person is doing all these things for you, but then you find yourself not able to be what he needs. That has to be a hard feeling too. Health Talk says, I need a prayer warrior. We pray every day. I need a supporter. I love that my woman makes our home a house a home. I ask for us to let down our ego, edging God out. Understand what brings me peace. So, prayer warrior, supporter, home builder, and getting rid of the egos so y'all can have peace. Okay, I like that. That chick yo likes that too. Says, I will teach you how to argue. Oh, Monique, go ahead she giving classes, y'all. She says, sis, I will teach you how to argue. But she said the shy girl days are long and gone. Life happens and you gotta speak up. But I'm learning to choose my battles, and that's the part right there. That's the part. Every battle isn't worth fighting. Every dissension or every, opinion is not even worth challenging most of the time. It truly isn't. I shared with my wife last night. Where'd my little cable go? I shared with her last night because when I go through social media, sometimes I come across videos that it really highlight points. And there's one that I do want to share with y'all today, actually based off that comment. It's two things I want to share with you before we get up out of here. And I think they're real interesting because for fellas, if you never understood how a woman's mind can potentially work sometimes and why you confused that she's confused, because yes, ladies, we are like, I'm confused. I don't get why you confused, because just, it's just A, B, and C. Just do it. And you don't get it. I'm overwhelmed. I got this and I got that. And I never understood it. But I saw this video the other day that put it all into context for me. Now the light bulb came on. I'm just like, oh, I get it now. Toronto says, sis, I prefer not to argue, but of course, I will say what I need to say and walk away. Arguing is negative to me. Oh, look at them eyes. It is negative if you are mean about it, but it's positive if you have the right intentions. Ooh, that's that slippery slope there. Intentions. Intentions are a hard thing, man, because what you intend to happen most times don't happen. In all fairness, intention. That's the reason why they say the path to hell is paved with good intentions. Because most times we intend for a certain thing. We intend for certain outcome. But intention is not execution. They're different. And when you execute an intention, you have to be surgically precise with your execution of it. If not, one thing goes off, then it's a bad day. It's a bad day. And so we got a very good list of what ladies want. And if I say so myself, the ladies in this room are some of the brightest, emotionally intelligent, and astute women that I've had the pleasure of being around, most of my life, because you guys, you get it. You're living the life, you're raising families, you've been out in these streets, you have some wisdom, some experience, you see life for what it is by and large. You're not bright-eyed, bushy-tailed, and 21 years old and seeing it from that perspective anymore. You actually have some experience where you can actually look back and see some things. So your thoughts, your opinions, they matter. So ladies, let me ask you this. Do you think somebody 10 years younger than you want the same thing? Do you think they see life from that perspective? Do they want somebody who they want trust, honesty, support, understanding, affection, commitment to your own goals, your own mind, your own bank account, security, love, accountability? Do they want somebody who's consistent, who is a leader, who is a provider and a protector and has vision? Do they want somebody who is security minded and love and responsibility? Is that what ladies in this era were looking for? D. Rob said, "We can argue, just don't yell or clap at me." Okay, boo. He said, "I'll shut down real quick." Monique says, "My intentions are I see you and I know how you operate. I will handle accordingly." Dr. Yourself, I knew y'all was crazy. No, man, this thing is confusing. It is. Everybody wants what they want, but how to get what you want in a relationship is not dependent on you. It's really dependent on the other person. The other person really dictates the relationship. And that's whether you male or female. The other person dictates the relationship. Because what you want and what they want, if you guys don't find a way to make those things coexist, if one person is giving more than the other person, it's cool for a time. There's never a 50-50 in any relationship. It's always going to be ebbing and flowing. One person got to give 70% sometimes, hell, 80, sometimes a 90%. One person has to give so much. But then there should be some balance when the other person starts to take over and the other person starts to give and starts to do more. Monique says, "My best friend slash big sister Jennifer taught me well. She has the sweetest voice and real calm." D-Rob said he'll Stone Cold Steve Austin to have a real quick for clapping. And that's what you call that trigger, right? There's something that's triggering about that. And back to Monique's point, right? That whole ninja thing, because they know that, D-Rob, when they really want you to feel something, they really want you to move. Okay, boo-boo. They gonna hit you with all of that and look for that response. And so it's wild, man. So what do you want from me? So many dudes are asking that question. And quite honestly, there are a lot of guys who are becoming really emotionally intelligent, more so than previous generations. Why? Because a lot of guys are being raised by their moms. And so they're getting a different perspective because dad is not around. So they're getting a different perspective. And they're becoming more emotionally intelligent, meaning they can recognize and understand emotions when they see them, but they're not so much becoming emotionally mature. Health Talk says the best part of growth is when you don't respond to their triggers negatively. Yeah, you see, that's what I mean. Guys are becoming more emotionally intelligent than in previous times because once upon a time, it was simply my way or the highway. And what was the highway? Nothing. You stay. She wasn't going nowhere. She gonna be right there. She just be quiet about it for a little while. Then she'll come back and talk about it later. But what we're finding today is that most Most of the women, especially this coming generation, can't handle a dude that is emotionally intelligent. Because the dude that's emotionally intelligent will cut a chick off just like chicks will cut a dude off. That cutoff game is real. An emotionally intelligent guy is not going to succumb to the basic triggers. An emotionally intelligent guy is going to be supportive, but still not feed into the I just want to feel away kind of space today. Because somebody who's emotionally intelligent also understands not just recognizing somebody else's boundaries, but also setting their own. And when you think about what a traditional, that shit Yale says, if I've given you the blueprint to my emotions, you need to apply them. When it says keep copy, sis, they'll keep asking. Get a lot. Facts. Get a lot of them. Please. Matter of fact, post them on the wall. Post them on the wall. Matter of fact, and also post the instructions too. When I do this, do this. When I do that, do that. Because we be confused sometimes. We don't understand why this is happening, why that is happening. All we know is, okay, she looked like she having a problem today. I hugged her, that didn't work. I made dinner, that didn't work. She's still okay. Do you need to get your nails done? Okay, nothing is working. She's been upset for 3 days now. Okay, what? I don't know what to do now. I don't know what to do. And I think by and large, that's what most guys are saying that the challenge is. A lot of ladies want a lot. Like some of the lists, there are big things on this list and they're very comprehensive. And we just don't know what to do with all of that. We don't understand how to maneuver through all of that because from day to day, it could change. We go through times when it's really stressful in life, work and family situations, and we have our own stuff to deal with. And so now we have to manage our emotions and also figure out how to manage your emotions. It can be a lot if we don't know exactly what we need to do. That your says, I need my Sprite, salt and vinegar, and a hug. Boom. That's too easy. That's too easy. That's why I open the door for my wife. That's why I bring flowers home. That's why I'm not really a hugger like talk, but I make sure I give her a hug every day, and I make sure I tell her I love her at least a couple times a day or a week. You know what I'm saying? Because I know she likes those things, but some of the other stuff is like I don't know. I don't know when to step in to be the man or when not to step in to be the man. So ladies, we need a little bit more help. 3 days. That's a lot of time. My husband too goofy. Yeah. A lot of stuff don't really bother guys like talk. Stuff happens. We'll sulk about it for a day, maybe two. I give myself 24 hours, and then then by the 48th hour, I'm totally over it, and I'm already making moves to the next thing. But I used to then let myself feel anything. I used to then let myself in go into the feeling of a thing. Now, I know it's healthier if I actually feel it, make sense of it, process it. But then I'm not gonna hold it long. Then I'm gonna be done with it. I'm not gonna hold any grudges to people. If I don't fool with them, I don't fool with them. If my cousin get on my nerves, guess who ain't gonna be around? My cousin, and I'm gonna tell him, bruh, you stressful. What you mean I'm stressful? Bro, whenever we together, you always gotta create some drama. You gotta keep some mess. I ain't about that life, bro. I'm trying to be chill. So I'm gonna holler at you. All right, man, whatever, bro. But now he know. But y'all ladies, y'all don't say nothing. Y'all just be like, this person is so stressful. But then y'all come home to your men and we hear it and we like, why don't you just tell them? Because Monique says, the way you know my cycle is gone for hot real. Wait a minute. Let me read to myself first. Oh, I got you. It's not TMI. No, not TMI. Yep, I get it. And I also understand that there's, biologically, there is some things that, determines, what that mood is going to be. And I think every dude understands, okay, I might not know exactly what to do. However, I'm going to do what I can. I'm going to do what I can, and I'm going to stay out the way because I don't want to say something stupid. I don't want to say something that's going to be irritating unless I'm trying to be irritating. If I'm trying to be irritating, okay, you can get all this work. But if I'm just trying to, keep the pops down, I don't need to be, this is self-inflicted wounds over here. So yeah, we definitely need to know. We definitely need to know. We not mind readers. D Rob says, so I remember my ex told me I wasn't very emotionally available, which I felt I was, but then again, I grew up being taught to be tough. I barely seen my dad cry. I mean, it's a double-edged sword, man. It's a double-edged sword. I've let my guard down and been vulnerable, and I never really cried a lot, but I did notice that when I would get too emotional with certain women, it was like a major turnoff. It was a major turnoff, and it taught me that I can't be vulnerable around women. I gotta always be strong around women. I can't let my guard down. I gotta be the rock. I gotta be the stable one, or she's gonna look at me differently. And I think there's studies that actually prove that thought right there. I haven't really researched it, but I just know my personal experience. I've had those. Honestly, D Rock, man, it's not about being emotionally available. Um, Emotions. All right, so let's break it down then real quick. What are emotions? Matter of fact, I'm gonna give you the book definition, and then I'm gonna give you some examples of what emotions really are. And so, what a lot of people don't understand, I can cry on your shoulder, boo. Toronto Rican says it's very attractive when a man shows his emotional side. But how often can he show that side? If he cries once a week with you, is that okay? If a man cries once a week with you, what do you think about that guy? Be present for the moment and with the right one. Oh, it'll come out you. To me, with the right person, whenever he needs to. Mmm. Like I'll listen and I do what this is D Rob. Like I'll listen and do whatever I can to help my lady through what she going through. B, I can't cry once a week. Moni said, don't be a crybaby though. Oh, that's too much. My shoulder soaked now. And so that's what we say, ladies. We don't know what the balance is. We don't know what the secret formula is. And so it's honestly, men are about preserving and surviving. If we're too vulnerable, we looked at by men as soft. If we're too vulnerable, we're looked at as women as soft. Because women don't traditionally want a softer man. Traditionally, I don't know, this new generation, I don't know what they doing. Nah, man up. I know if I was in the mirror more than my wife, I think she'd have a problem with that. Would you, boo? If I stayed in the mirror more than you, would you have a problem with that? There you go. See, that's why you my cousin. You never know what as men, we don't often talk about what we're going through. And a lot of people don't even care what men are going through. They just know that you're supposed to be a man. You're supposed to man up. You're supposed to have it all figured out. And so we take it on the chin and we gotta be tough. D Rob says, I was at a stage where I didn't cry at funerals until after because I was being strong for everybody else. Yeah. Monique says, I've seen my husband cry only death of loved ones and our daughter going to the Air Force. Hey, man, that bond right there, buddy. Whew. Mm-hmm. Bobby says, honestly, it would have freaked me out if you was crying when we first met. But now that we have been through it all, I know if my man is moved to tears, it's taking a lot to get you to that place. Yeah, yeah. I welcome the vulnerability and am here for you like you are here for me. So what y'all saying is it's over time that bond is built to where you can do these things. A man can be vulnerable over time, but up front he needs to prove his worth, right? He needs to prove that he is of good stock. He's a good man. He's a strong man. He's a man capable of leading, but also being sensitive and loyal and trustworthy and all of those other things, right? And so I can probably ask the guys in the room right now, guys, give me three things that you want from your woman. Give me three things you want from your partner. And yes, stay out of my mirror. That's yours. I need to see all those stages. Fellas, what's three things that you need from your ladies? I think D-Rap already said what he needed. Where was that? Hold on, let me go back. Let me see if I can find it. There's a lot of comments in here. Put them again, D-Rap. What did you say you needed? Health talk. What do you need before you get up out of here? What's three things you need from your partner? Oh man, you already did. Prayer warrior, supporter, make a house a home. All right, and D Rob said food respect in your way. Now he came back and said something else. Big thing support I want for women is had to be in the stands with the support of the shirt. Yeah, so as you can see, ladies, our list is very small, which means it's not hard to find a man. It's hard for y'all to accept a man, though. That's kind of what the vibe that I'm getting today. Which reminds me of the husband story. Y'all know about the husband story? 5 floors. Monique said, just be yourself. D Rob said, support, God fearing, respectful. And listen, damn it. I'm trying to impress you over here. You ain't listening to me? Oh, bruh, health talk. You have a great day too, man. A wonderful day, no matter what. I mean, when it really come down to it, ladies, the biggest problem that men have is really understanding, truly understanding what we are supposed to be, how we are supposed to move, and what you really need from us. That's truly the biggest thing. And we're willing to go through whatever, most times we're willing to go through whatever we need to go through. Now I'm talking about guys who are more mature, who's chosen you and wants to be with you. Oh, your question about emotional availability also. Emotions are basically um what are some words? Disgust is an emotion. Contempt is an emotion. Happy, sad. I mean, those are, emotions. Those are things that Wait. And bite. I ain't gonna touch that one, D-Rob. I'm gonna let you either clarify that one or we're gonna leave that one alone. On what we biting around here. Um, but um emotions are I don't know, emotions and feelings, they're very similar, but they're different. I'm struggling with to divide them right now. Feelings are like the happiness and the sad and the frustrated, and those are they vary between whether you want to address them as an emotion or a feeling. The problem with trying to be emotionally available, I think the biggest thing is they want you to express them. They want you to express what you're feeling. But ladies, most guys, we are expressive. We are emotionally available. It's just that we're problem solvers. We're not, our go-to isn't trying to feel the thing. We experience the emotion. We know that we're frustrated. We know that we're feeling some disgust. We know that we're happy. We know that we're sad, but you won't see us really cry it out. Sometimes you won't even see us talk it out. We just kind of sit back and we just process and we're thinking. For us, that's an emotion. When you see us deep in thought or we staring off into no man's land, it's because we're trying to work something out in our head. When a man expresses emotion, either he is at his breaking point or in the traditional way that you are used to it, either he's at his breaking point or he is worry free. He is carefree. He's just living in the moment. Most other times, most men, we're working stuff out. We're processing. All right, man, what I got to do today? Oh, man. All right, I know I got to go over here and, oh, man, bruh, okay. Yeah, I got to figure it out too. Yeah, we in our heads about what's the next step? What's the next thing gonna look like? It's not a bunch of randomness. It's just our minds are more logical, step by step, is more ordered. Once again, most men, not all men. Some men out there, they just all over the place. But most men, we're very logical. So I'm not sure if there's a way to say to even be more emotionally available, other than say, be conscious of how you express. And basically what that means is she wants you to speak her love language, in all honesty. You're not speaking her love language in a way that she feels it, because women are feeling based. First, Monique says 15 years of marriage and we are still learning things about each other. The learning it never stops, because every couple years you become a different person, because you grow through some things, you mature into some other things. Life happens in another way and you have to adapt to some other things. And so at your core, you're the same person, but behaviorally, you make changes and you make adjustments. And what you liked in the beginning of our relationship, you may not like it anymore. I heard a girl once say, I hate when my man bring me flowers. And I was like, what? I was like, so why do you tell him that? She was like, no, but I used to love flowers. I used to love flowers. But then she had a bad experience or a bad incident and by a person, and now she don't like flowers. But she made the comment that she loved a certain flower, and so this guy, he was buying that flower all the time. But he didn't know it was attached to a bad memory, which gave her bad feelings. So every time she saw this flower that this man was proud to bring, all smiling and grinning, she would be like, oh, you brought me flowers. And he couldn't read the body language that she wasn't really feeling them. He just know that she said she used to love this flower. Oh, man. So he's thinking he's getting all these brownie points. Yeah, she was triggered. And that relationship ended. And he never knew why. And she told me, this was sometime way after the fact, because I was talking about, I bring my wife flowers. My wife she like lilies, she like roses. And I'm telling her these things. She was like, yeah, I used to. She's like, I had an ex who bring flowers all the time. And I'm like, why you never told that man? She was just like, I didn't want to hurt his feelings. So she didn't want to hurt his feelings because he was bringing flowers to make her feel good. You see what I'm saying? Ladies, that's confusing for us. Just tell us. Tell us what you want from me. Tell us what you want. And if it's within our powers to do it, we going to do it. And if we can't, we going to probably tell you we can't. Or at least we'll work on it. But if you decide to break up with us or leave us or not give us a shot for something that we can't do, we don't lose no sleep over because I couldn't do it no way. So it's all good. It's all good. Girl, I'm a sucker for flowers and cards. Girl, tell him again, but the key word was used to. 100%. She was probably wearing the granite. Bruh, anytime he walked in the door with flowers, she turned into the Sahara Desert. Oh, man. So, yeah. Tell us what you want from us, ladies. Be as clear as you can be. Be as simplistic as you can be. Because, guys, we don't read through the lines very well, in between your lines very well. We definitely don't even try to read minds. And when we do, we normally make a bigger mistake. So we learn not to try to do that. And if we with you, we want you to be happy because when you're happy, we're happy. If you're stressed out, we're stressed out. Most guys, our biggest stressors are our women. It's because they're stressed and they can't process their stress. So we get stressed trying to help them fix their stress. But if a person don't know how to fix their stress and don't want to fix the stress because they want to feel it, how do you help the person feel the stress or get rid of the stress that they're feeling? Exactly. Yep, and ravioli. Toronto Rican says, I'm very specific about what I want, so I'll be very clear. But that's how we hear it. That's how we think about it. Because we want to go, guys want to go through these steps. All right, so if what's happening? The water won't shut off. All right, so the problem is the water. Where's the shut-off valve? There's no shut-off valve under the sink? Okay, where would the shut-off? Is it on hot water? We got to shut the valve off somehow or another. So guys are logical. We're thinking about how to shut down. The faucet ain't working. It won't shut off. So under the sink, let's shut it off under the sink. That ain't working either? Okay, dang. All right, well, let's go to the hot water heater. All right, well, let's go to the main breaker. So we got all these steps we're trying to do. But that's how our minds work. But if you tell me, I'm just stressed out. What's stressing you out? Well, at the job today, it was this. Then my check engine light came on. But then you had an argument with your mom, and then something else happened. But you ain't told us those other three things. And so we thinking we help solve the problem. We're gonna get your car service, get the check engine light situated. We're gonna do all this, and then you still stressing. We just like, well, I just don't feel like I'm doing what I'm supposed to be doing with my life. I feel like my life is in a black hole. I'm just like. Oh man. Said don't move ID Rob. Just know that's a non-verbal cue for a babe. Do we need to talk? I see you got on the granny drawers. You all right? Look, that's your said, why y'all thinking I'm already at the breaker? Well, see, it's a method to the madness. It's a method to the madness. Because then you switch the breaker, now you still got to figure out what the problem was before the breaker. So it's like, the problem is here, so we backtrack it all the way to we find whatever the source is of the problem. And then if we had to get there to the breaker, now we know we got to call somebody. Anything in between, we might can take care of. You know, we're fixers. We want to see when to diagnose and break it down. Because we're fixers. All right. We're going to get on out of here today. Tomorrow, though, we're going to really get into whose responsibility is it? Whose responsibility is it? Because there are a lot of relationships out there where one person waits on the other person. The entire floor will be soaked by the time you're trying to save money. We know how to mop. Oh man, that's tough. But yeah, we're gonna talk about it, man. We're gonna talk about it. Whose responsibility is it? Because there are so many times that we have these problems that arise in our relationships, and we both wait on the other person to do it. There are so many relationless marriages, relationless. Well, somebody having relations, but they're not doing it together. We're gonna talk about whose responsibility is it. We're gonna talk about some gender roles. What are gender roles now? And because there are no defined roles, a lot of things get lost in translations. So we're gonna talk about that tomorrow. But for today, you guys go have a great day. Have an amazing, wonderful day. As Health Talk will say, no matter what. No matter what. Man, let's not even talk about them water problems. Woo. Hey, I feel bad for you, sis. But y'all gonna figure it out, though. So it was outside, Christmas lights on the porch, not in the house. Oh, okay. All right, good. Good. Because we did get a lot of rain these last couple of days. We had a monsoon, which you needed because, man, all these lakes dried up because it's been a little bit of a drought. You never notice droughts too much in the wintertime. But all right, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to get on up out of here. Y'all have a blessed day. Make it a great one. Do everything that you can get your mind to do. Maximize it to the best of your potential. And live life with no regrets. Life's too short. So I'm going to get out of here, man. Y'all have a blessed day. We'll talk soon. Peace.